Well, hello, everybody. I'm Lieutenant General Mike Farrer, and I'm here today with Nate Boyer. And this is a part of our ongoing series called Rally Point. We started Rally Point in 2018. It was an in-person opportunity for we at the National Veterans Memorial Museum to bring veterans in, ensure that they were not living in their car, feed them a brunch, and then talk about issues or get resources for them. Most importantly, we felt when veterans are connected to each other, and they have good, healthy purpose, then their best friend Jack Daniels and Glock don't show up. And so we really care about taking care of all of you. And today we're with Nate Boyer, who cares even more, and we'll discuss merging veterans with players in just a second. So when we first started this program, we had about 75 people would come in. And Nate, as I was saying a second ago, on August 6th, and then the next 2 weeks, about 32,000 people who we're talking to right now will actually view this. Our view is when we meet men and women of character who care about someone else, then we're going to help. So this is about promoting MVP and all that you're doing. So welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it.
So I met you probably right after I retired it's about 2015. I came down here and I heard about this great thing that you were doing, and I just wanted to learn more about it. So tell us about your program MVP and how you got started.
Yeah, MVP was just starting then in 2015. I was in the Army for about 10 years, did about half active duty, about half in the National Guard. And while I was in the National Guard, when I was back in college, I was fortunate enough to serve in the Special Forces. So my time in active duty, I was with a pretty elite unit, and then when I got off of active duty and went down to University of Texas to enroll in school, when I transitioned into the Guard, I still had the opportunity to continue to deploy overseas if it made sense for what was going on at the time, and then the little wrench in the it's not really a wrench, but the caveat to the whole thing was that I was playing football. So that was an important part of it because that was like a dream I always had, something I always wanted to do, and so I kind of had to work out a deal with the Texas National Guard and make sure everybody was on board, with the understanding that like I'll make up my training, when we get to the off season, and I'm willing to go wherever needed in the summertime, as long as during that fall and the football season I can keep playing and doing that. So got done with that. Came out of the military about the same time that college football ended, and I had an opportunity at the professional level with the Seattle Seahawks in the NFL. And it didn't last too long. I was there for about 5 months total, if you count, OTAs, training camp, preseason. Got to play in one game, which was pretty incredible. But then it ended, and I lost the uniform, the team, the locker room, something that I hadn't really noticed when I got done with my military service, because I had the football locker room and the football team and all that. So I didn't even feel like I transitioned in some ways. So once football ended, that's when I felt like I kind of went through my transition. And it was also the transition out of the military, and losing the camouflage. And I'd met Jay Glazer, who, he's a Fox NFL analyst and kind of the ultimate football insider in the league. But he's also a trainer. He has a gym called Unbreakable Performance Center in West Hollywood. You've been there, just off of Sunset. And I was training at his gym for that opportunity with the NFL. And afterwards, when I got cut and I came back, Jay just said, "Hey man, let's start something for guys that are in the same position you're in right now. Let's figure out a way to bring together combat vets, but also former pro athletes, because the sacrifice is very different, like what's at stake and all that. But there still is a great amount of sacrifice to be elite at anything. And, the loss of your tribe, the loss of that uniform you identify with, something you worked at since you were 8 years old, and then it ends often not on your own terms, almost even more so in sports, where it's like at some point it's over. You might be 40, whatever Tom Brady is, 45, and still doing it, and that's a very rare case. You might be 25 and you'll never see the field again. It's like this is all, you put everything into this and it's just gone. So where do these guys go from there, feeling like you've peaked at such a young age and you'll never be great again? And so that's where Emerging Vets and Players MVP came about.
There's a couple really great things that you said. The first is, so everyone think about a war has started and you join the service and then you ask to be with the best of the best. Your life path is one of seeking excellence and pushing yourself towards that excellence. And so in the first part of, being a special forces soldier and going through all of the rigors to do that, what was driving you during those days?
I mean, that's a good question, because I feel like before that, I had a lot of dreams of excellence, but I didn't really pursue it. You know what I mean? I didn't really seek it until I joined the military. I mean, it wasn't until that time that I felt a belief in myself that I could actually do these things. In my early 20s, I worked on a fishing boat. I did all kinds of odd jobs and sort of floundered a bit. Had a lot of passion and ideas, but not a lot of execution behind that. And then I ended up going, I went to the Darfur in Sudan and did some relief work there just for a couple of months when I was 23. And it was kind of that time of my life where, I mean, we all have this time in our life, whether it's, in your 20s or before or after, where you feel like, what am I doing that, like, does anything I do make a difference? Do people, would the world be any worse off if I wasn't around? It's not a good feeling to have, but it's a valid feeling that a lot of people do have. And I kind of felt that way. And so I was seeking not only belonging, but being of service in some way. And I went to the Darfur and I worked at these refugee camps for a couple of months. And, I got so much more out of it than I'm sure the people there did, honestly. But like, it really did open my eyes, open my heart to a lot of things. And I felt very strongly this conviction of wanting to fight for those that can't fight for themselves. And so many people in that place just couldn't. They didn't have the resources we have. They didn't, just the five basics, from food, water, shelter, education, and basic medical care. Like, none of that is guaranteed, and we have access to that here. And I was like, I want to do something to help. And at that time, so many troops had been going overseas, American troops going to Afghanistan and then Iraq. And this 18 X-ray program opened up in the Army, and you could come in off the street if you tested high enough, and you go to basic training and airborne school, and then straight into Special Forces selection. And so I got that contract, and sort of off I went there. So, but that was the first time. I think making that trip was a big step for me of like, I can do this, even though it's daunting, it's dangerous. Everyone's telling me I shouldn't go. Even the organizations, the NGOs I was trying to go with were like, oh, you don't have the qualifications. I was like, well, you need people, so I'm just going to go and figure it out. That trip really was the trigger for me. That's what started it. And then I was like, okay, I did this. Maybe I can become a Green Beret. I don't know. I'm going to try. Mm-hmm. And then, you start to believe in yourself after you achieve some, even if it's just small goals. And eventually that snowballed into believing, even though I never played football my entire life, that I could just walk on to a place like the University of Texas and make it. I really believed it. And I think because I really did believe that, it was able to happen. Yeah.
A solid belief can move a mountain when, and you'll surprise yourself. So then a lot of times we're asked, well, what about last August and what about the departure from Afghanistan? And I always want to take the opportunity and tell everyone out there, your service really matters. It really mattered. And your noble service really mattered. And we can never be responsible for what happens a year after, but you don't need to question yourself. And I think that encouragement everyone needs to hear, because they're scratching their head about some friends that they lost and some tough spots that they were in. But just in terms of service matter, and let's cover that. I'm wondering if I got the guts to say that.
Yeah, no, and it's a tough thing to talk about because it is a sensitive subject. A lot of people are, feel a certain way about it, and everybody's got their own experiences, opinions, beliefs, and we're all entitled to that. That's what I love about America, is we're not only entitled to that, we're allowed to voice it, and and we should be able to express anger if we're angry, and sadness if we're sad, and joy if we're happy. So, for me, the way I've tried to explain it to some people, how it feels to me, is like I relate it to sports. If my ultimate goal was to, win a championship, or my ultimate goal, my goal was to play in the NFL, play for a professional football team, make the team, of course, win the Super Bowl, whatever all your goals are. But then you look at like my career, and, I went to Texas with the dream of being a safety or a wide receiver. I was a long snapper. It's a thankless job. But I wanted to find a way on the field, so I made that compromise, and it worked. And I'm glad I did, because I don't think, first of all, I don't believe could have happened any other way for me. But if I wasn't willing to kind of flex, it wouldn't have worked, right? But while I was at Texas, like, I wanted to win a national championship. I wanted to win a Big 12 title. I wanted to beat Oklahoma every year. I beat Oklahoma one time. I never won a Big 12, never even played for a Big 12 championship, really. And obviously didn't win a national championship. And then I go to the Seahawks, and, I played in the preseason, but I didn't play in the regular season. So, I failed. I didn't make it. I didn't achieve what I set out to do. We didn't win, but like, do I regret the effort I put in? And would I do it again and try? Absolutely. And that result, like, that's just out of my hands, at some level. It's out of all of our hands. All we can do is like do the best that we can do with the people, we're around, and I know pretty much everybody I served with, I firmly believe, would have done anything to make sure that I was safe, and the other, oftentimes the Iraqi and Afghan men and women that we served alongside and were there to help protect, would do anything for them, and still would, So with the way that things went down, and how heartbreaking it was to see it just crumble so quick, you should never doubt or never look down on your actions, and look down on your willingness, and the fact that we enlisted, we all made a choice. We stepped up and said, I'll do it, and then it plays out how it plays out. But there's a lot of people's lives you changed back home here, and a lot of people's lives overseas you change, and you never know what the future holds. It still could. I'm very hopeful that there's like possibility for change in places that do need it. So I think that's the best we can do, and I do believe that too. I'm not just being, optimistic for the sake of being optimistic.
Yeah, my brother was employed here in Hollywood as an agent, and he's my little brother, so I'd mess with him and say, "What do you do, John?" And he'd say, "You know what I do? I'm one of the biggest Hollywood agents." I said, "No, that's your job, but what do you do?" And so Nate, I think joining the military when you did was because you felt there was something to do, and then as you traveled through your career, and there was something to do still, and then as you came out and played football, there was something to do, and then when you met Jay Glazer and you all sat together, you said, "You know what? There's something to do." So, describe to our audience that idea of, there's something out there. It's beyond your fingertip reach, but it's something that's important to do.
Yeah, as I look back on football and the military, and even with MVP and anything else I'm doing, like, it's never, and it is kind of a cliche, but it really is never about the achievement. Once you achieve a few things, it's great to get that W and check that box or whatever you want to say, but it's always the process, and the grind, and like the hustle, and the doubts that you had in your head, but you still kept going and you overcame it. That's what you remember, and that's what you're most proud of. That's what I'm most proud of with anything involved in my journey. And so I think you're just doing yourself such a disservice if you're not chasing your dream, your American dream. That's a great way to honor the men and women, whether they're in the military or not. There's people that lived lives of service and and are no longer here is to pursue that. Because that's why I enlisted. One of the main reasons I took that oath was because I finally, I thought at least somewhat understood and appreciated the freedoms we have here, but not only the freedoms, like the kind of the responsibility we have to chase our dreams and do something great, and find ways to do it in service of others as well. But like, yeah, if you're sitting there waiting for the right moment, it's never going to come. You know what I mean? The right moment's never going to come. But if you have that passion and you know what that thing is and you're not doing it, like, you're crazy. The crazy is not the person that's chasing that wild dream of, oh, I'm going to go try and play football even though I never played. Like, crazy is the person that goes to the grave regretting that they never did it or tried to do it. And if you don't know what you're passionate about, you just need to try things, and be around people that are passionate and motivated. You'll find it. Like, it's out there.
Just take that stuff. Hey, everybody, we're with Nate Boyer, merging veterans with players, and we're discussing really what it is to make a difference in the world. I want you to go and support MVP in any way that you possibly can, and you'll see on the page below me here how you can reach his website. The idea well, take us through what MVP really is. It's X day at X time, then what happens?
Yeah, so we've got 8 chapters now around the country, which is awesome. So we're in LA, Las Vegas, Chicago, Atlanta, New York, Seattle, Dallas, and Phoenix. And different nights of the week, typically it's in the evening, we'll meet in the gym, and a lot of times it's got that MMA element to the gym, which I know you enjoy. And not always, but some nights we're in there, we hit the bag for 20 minutes, and then half the group will be on the bags or on the mat, and half will be doing like a hip circuit training, hit workout, and then we'll flip, and everyone's getting that good sweat in. We're smoking ourselves a bit, but not too crazy. It's just kind of get the juices flowing. We want it to be fun, though. We want it to be enjoyable. It's we give each other crap, just like we did when we were in the military, and but we want to get the energy up and get that sweat, and kind of go through something somewhat challenging together. And then we transition to the mat afterwards, and that's when we do what we call our huddle. So in the huddle, it's a peer-to-peer coaching session. There's not a lot of rules. We try to steer away from politics, religion, the basic dinner table rules, that we grew up with. But for the most part, it's like, we're encouraging vulnerability. We want people to just talk about what's going on in their lives. It could be good stuff too. It's not always the sadness and the trauma. We love sharing wins, and hearing about people's growth. But you're in a group setting with anywhere from 20 to 40 people typically, and people that are all combat vets and former pro athletes. So there's that shared experience at some level, but also like the mutual respect from one another, kind of heroes to each other is what we sort of talk about. And but also it's a safe space. I mean, you can talk about something that happened when you were 10 years old, or something that happened 10 years ago or 10 minutes ago. And it shouldn't matter. Like, it should be, you should feel comfortable and safe to like get that out. But when we carry things around and we don't talk about them, and we're not willing to listen to others' advice maybe on how to work through something, it just makes it that much harder. I mean, even the Spartans way back when, they had like mandatory grieving period when they came back from battle, because they understood the importance of, expressing those emotions and just talking through it. And it doesn't always have to be, a big, not everybody's crying all the time or anything like that, but sometimes we are. But I think just speaking it into the universe and kind of getting it off your chest is huge. And it's really special to see people that come in for the first time, months ago, and it takes them a long time to want to share something, but eventually they're like, I got something I want to talk about. And then as they continue their path with MVP, several months after that, like, they're coaching somebody else on something, and then they become mentors, and they went from being this person who was like isolated, didn't really want anything to do with the veteran community or the athlete community post sports, and just want to disconnect and like, you know, I'm done with that part of my life. To like being at peace with the way it ended, understanding it's not who you are. It isn't your identity. It's a piece of you, and you know, it's a choice you made, a job you did, maybe even, but that's not who you are. Like, you're so much more. But also, like, not, you know, and still embracing that and helping others who are in your shoes, you know, get through that door and realize, like, okay, wow, like, not only is there a lot more out there, but I'm really capable because of what I survived, you know what I mean, and what I experienced and what I've done in my life that a lot of other people can't say they've done. And you know, I've got a certain level of resiliency that a lot others might not have, even though I've never, you know, done the. I'm hustling in the film and TV world now. It's like, yeah, I didn't have that background, but I understand, you know, I think work ethic and collaboration and like all those things that go into making something.
If you have that belief, then rejection is not hard to do, but we have to be really good at it, because you know, we look at it, and I look at it, when someone says no or I'm not sure, I haven't done a good enough job of explaining why this is important to get done, and so you reattack and reoffer and try again and come back again and all that. So we do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at the National Veterans Memorial Museum. We now have warrior balanced yoga as well. And on the weekend, as we're talking to the audience right now, there's a 5K run, a Purple Heart 5K run going on as we're speaking. A Jiu-Jitsu seminar earlier today, and yesterday, Tim Kennedy's book, Scars and Stripes, was launched. And so to get someone to walk through the threshold of that door is, you know, it's probably scarier than the first jump at airborne school. So what would you say to folks at those 8 locations in terms of how to take a chance, how to come in there?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, there's no commitment. There's no, you know, to join MVP, you just have to qualify. It doesn't cost anything. I mean, a couple hours of your time on a weekly basis, but you know, come in, check it out. Just keep an open mind and understand some of those people are dealing with some really hard stuff, and most of them have at some time in the past. But also, like, we serve every single demographic. I mean, I always say this, and I truly believe it. I think the veteran community is one of the most diverse microcosms in America. Like, we are everything. We look we look like everybody, and nobody at the same time. And we, you know, we share the camouflage, and we share a lot of things values wise, I think. But man, we are across the board, you know, and that's how it is in an MVP session. And people are at different stages in their transition, in their journey, you know, as we all are in life. But just come in and join us, and you don't have to say one word, you know, just come in and listen. We will ask you to introduce yourself. That's the only thing. Every new member, you know, say who you are and branch you served or sport you played and how you heard about MVP. And that's really it. That's the only commitment. You got to just to be there. And I think you'd be surprised. You know, there's so many organizations out there, and they all, you know, they all aim to do great things, and a lot of them do a lot of great things. And we can't do everything, just as any organization. You know, we've all got our piece of the pie. For us, the biggest thing is just community, and just kind of like what you were talking about, you know, with the museum and what you guys provide. You know, with the brunch and a place that people can go at least once a week and know I have a home for this time. You know, and people that I have a shared experience with. That's very similar to MVP. You know, we just are there for each other. We got each other's back, and yeah, the biggest thing for us is just we hope you're open to you know, just joining us and being a part of the team and learning more about who we are, because we're like I said earlier, we're everything, we're everybody. So there's nobody that doesn't really fit, you know, with who we are.
You're in pretty good shape, but what about that Ranger buddy whose tie has moved up his chest over the last 5 months or 5 years, and he's kind of carrying more weight than he used to carry in his rucksack?
Yeah.
How about that?
I mean, we've got people in there that when we've got some members that have lost over 100 pounds since they started coming to MVP, and it's not the workout once a week, it's that they committed to something, they started moving their body a bit again, and then they're like, you know what, I can do this twice a week, 3 times a week, 6 times a week, and then results start to come. And that's just with fitness. But we pride ourselves in making sure that everybody that comes through there feels not only welcome, but we will tailor whatever we can to your needs, and that includes the huddle. You know what I mean? Because that's like I said, sometimes there's some heavy stuff that comes up, and sometimes people need a moment or whatever that is. Like there's no pushiness, there's nothing like that. And the same with that workout. Like the main thing is that you're just doing the best you can. That's all we care about. No one's in there judging you. It's like with the Planet Fitness commercials. No judgment. It's the same kind of thing. Like really, because there's also people in there. They're going to go hard as hell, and they are in pretty good shape, and they're going to push themselves. And that's don't worry about them. That's them. You know what I mean? Just do what you can do. No one in there is going to. It's not the purpose of an MVP workout. It's not a competition. Maybe a friendly competition, but it's like we're there to encourage each other and push each other in a positive way.
What do you think's next for MVP?
Well, I know we're going to keep opening chapters. I think Pittsburgh's next on our list. We've been really fortunate to have an incredible partner in GNC. They've been our biggest sponsor, and they're based out of Pittsburgh. And they're like, you got to have a chapter here, and so we're absolutely going to do that. I mean, there's professional sports teams, 3 professional sports teams there as well.
We think Columbus, Ohio is a pretty good place for.
I would love to do Columbus. No, we would absolutely love
we
that.
have at least MLS soccer and ice hockey and AAA baseball.
Yeah.
Some say we have a professional football team there, but it's called Ohio State. So. But
I thought it was the
Ohio State for sure. And but I'll bet that'll happen.
No, I think so too.
We have the referent group. We have tens of thousands of veterans in Central Ohio, or going from Indiana to West Virginia and Pennsylvania, and then we have the pro athletes throughout the state. So
yeah, I love it. I mean, there's so many places that make a ton of sense for MVP. Columbus makes a ton of sense. Austin, Nashville, Tampa. It's like endless. DC. There's you could just go forever, and I love that. I mean, that's the cool part about the future is. I mean, and maybe we don't stop at the, bigger market cities. Maybe one day it's, in some of the smaller towns, the smaller places too. Because we do have virtual options as well, which is great for the people, because there's people that are, in Timbuktu. That's like
I called in for Nate about 8 months ago. Someone set it up, and when the camera came on, we were working out. I said, "Oh my gosh!" I thought it was going to be a Teams meeting, so I ended up with a good sweat. So thanks for that.
Yeah, so you could, because we started doing the Zoom stuff during COVID because we had to, we just had to figure it out. Yeah, we had to pivot. We had to, we can't stop what we're doing. It's too important.
Not change. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So tell us about the next adventure.
So something I'm really excited about, and it pertains to MVP quite a bit, is I directed my first movie about a year and a half ago. And in the springtime, we sold it. We partnered with Film Rise, which is a distribution company, and this project's really cool. I mean, Sylvester Stallone came on board as an executive producer very early on, and it's just really, kind of him and his producing partner Braden Aftergood have just really shepherded the project and kind of helped us get it in some hands early on. And then on screen, Randy Couture, Jay Glazer, Michael Strahan, Howie Long, Tony Gonzalez, all these guys play themselves. Mm-hmm. And then on the veteran side, every single veteran portrayed on screen is played by an actual vet, which is really cool. And it was just a unique project. We shot it in the middle of COVID for very little money, and half the cast or half the crew as well behind the camera were veterans. And it was just one of those things that I had an idea, had a vision, co-wrote it with a British veteran buddy of mine, and with the idea of, we'll make this one day for I don't know, X dollars, and we'll find the right people to the movie stars need to be in it. And as it started to like write itself, well, not really, it kind of wrote itself. The stories these that we're hearing at MVP are what's in the film, you know, and it's very authentic in that way. I was like, man, this is too raw. Like we have to have the real people do this and play this, and you know, who am I kidding? Like we're very capable of all that. Like we could do anything, you know, we really can. And I know how hard these people are going to work, and so with COVID, which was, I mean, it was tough. It was a tough year for a lot of people, but for this movie, it was honestly an opportunity because so much was shut down and a lot of people were just eager to work on something and be a part of something. And so many favors we received. I mean, location wise, people were just like, their restaurants and businesses and all kinds of things were just like, go ahead, just, you know, clean up when you're done. And it was cool. And so we shot it right here in Los Angeles. And so we're going to premiere it the week of 9/11 here in Los Angeles. And then we'll start screening it around the country. And you better believe we'll be screening at the museum as well. Yeah.
Let me pivot just a little bit. Most of the veterans that you know or have served with, just your deep feeling on veterans. Much of our audience, you know, our pillars are to honor, connect, inspire, and educate. And the connect side of it, sometimes there's a lot of programming about the problem of the veteran and to get them through it. But let's talk about the strength of the veteran and veteran employment opportunities that we're running and what a veteran means when they get into your company or into your business.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's two parts to that because I like to speak speak to the veteran side of that too. You know, beyond just the employer. Most people in the country appreciate our service, you know, and are very positive about that. And it wasn't always like that. So I'm very thankful for our generation, grateful because not everybody receives, you know, the same kind of gratitude that we do. But I think beyond that, beyond it being, you know, a great opportunity for somebody that took that pause in their life to go do this thing. Sometimes that's a very long pause. You know, you're in for a few minutes. Yes. So, but you know, just trying to understand what they sacrificed, just career-wise, to go do what they're doing. You know what I mean? But also the skills they picked up and the things that they learned, and how to you know, work with a team of people that are very different than you under extremely intense circumstances, and drive through it. And you have to understand, we don't always like everybody we work with. You know, just like in the world back here, everyone thinks, oh, we're over there, we're all brothers in arms. No, like there's plenty of people that just, you know, lock horns and don't get along, but they put it aside when it's time to make the mission happen. Yeah. And they would still lay down their life for that person, no matter what. And so you're going to have that type of spirit and heart in an individual, you know, in a veteran working for your company. So they may not have the same degree and may not have the same experience, but they have a very different experience. But it's a valuable experience. And I think to speak on to the veteran side of this, like, I think a lot of vets, if you know, the more vets that are willing to just say, you know, kind of swallow their pride a bit at times and say, you know what, like, even though I did this at this level for this many years, like I might have to start in the mailroom. Just be okay with that, because I've seen it so many times. I've seen it out here in this industry a ton. You will get plucked out of that mailroom very quickly if you do the right thing and you put your head down and work hard, or whatever that situation is. And you'll climb that ladder quick, because they're going to see, that employer is going to see the value that you bring and how others respect you and kind of look up to you. And, you know, there's just so much that comes along with your story beyond just who you've become as a person. So
I think that's important. Yeah. And not a shameless plug, but we're opening up a veteran concierge service where we are going to link up veterans with the employers, and we're going to use an IT platform that matches their knowledge, skills, attributes, and experiences with what the employers are looking for. That's and it'll say, hey, so-and-so, Nate Boyer is fully qualified for these 8 jobs in your company. And so we're launching that. We've done a study. We're launching the pilot here in about a month, and then we'll go initial operating capability on it in January. But again, we're more than a museum, and we're 128 million pounds of cement and rebar. So we're not going anywhere. So we're gonna find a way to make a difference. And so if you need any information on that, then go to our website, and we'll help you. And that's kind of how we measure things: is how can we impact lives? I think that's a common thread between really great organizations that are taking care of people everywhere, but taking care of veterans in particular, like MVP, or this is the veteran golfers. Bling from Josh Payton and 14,000 golfers for more than 6 years.
I played in a few of those tournaments.
It's just a really great opportunity. If there was a message you wanted to give everyone who are out there, who are veterans or spouses of veterans, what would that be for today?
I mean, there's a lot of messages I'd love to give, but I think above all, just be a good person. Be a good person. And we all know what that means. We don't always remember and act on that, but it's something that we teach people in kindergarten, and we quickly forget. But just be good to others, be good to one another. Life's just way too short to be upset all the time, to be angry. There's plenty of opportunities for that, and it'll come up, but I think I always try to just go back to, like, regardless of my service, regardless of anything I've done, like, how do I like to be treated? How do I like people to communicate with me? And when you put that out in the world, it does come back. It really, really does. So I think, just be the best version of yourself that is in there, and the one that you wish you were all the time. Just focus on tracking in that direction.
You can count on any given day that you're going to run into someone who's upset. You're going to run into someone who really doesn't care about you.
Some days it's me too. Some days it's us.
And then someone happy. So have a plan to meet all three of those people every day, and have a plan on what you want the outcome to be after you meet that pissed off customer, or pissed off person, or ambivalent person who's working on the other side of a desk that's supposed to be a customer service. Just have a plan to do what you said. Be kind and understanding, and impact their life in a good, positive way.
Especially in these times, it's just it's a challenging time in America, in the sense of, and in the world, in the sense of us often not listening to one another and taking somebody else's experience as being of value, wanting to just prove our point, and why we're right. I know we're a competitive country. I appreciate that, but at some point you got to let that stuff go. And that's how we turn this thing around. Is being there for one another, being respectful of one another, and just trying to find the good.
You bring strength. You personally bring strength into the room, and but strength into the room doesn't have to kick compassion out of the room. Right, and so this presence and aura that you personally bring into the room allows you, and great leaders, it allows them to say, we're going to get this done, and it's not at the expense of caring about everyone else who's in the room with us on the mission, so to speak. Right. One final question, I guess, is. Any shout out for anyone, or anything, or any help that you need to so that MVP can impact even further lives?
Yeah, I mean, I would encourage anybody to go to vetsandplayers.org. Whether you're a supporter or a potential member, or somebody that qualifies to be a member, just share that with them. We're on social media as well. I know we're on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to connect with me for any reason, I'm on those platforms as well. I also have a website, nateboyer.com. But yeah, just reach out, connect. Like we respond to everybody, and we answer every email, and we pride ourselves on keeping that connection and being there for one another. And sometimes what we offer isn't the best resource for that individual too. So we love working with other organizations and people that are doing great things, and I appreciate you, sir, and what you stand for, and what you're doing now with the museum and everything. Because, like you said, it's more than just a museum. It sounds like it's a place for education and resources and community, and it's a lot.
It sure is. And I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, just say a word about the 20-Year War book.
Yeah, the book's really cool. The 20-Year War book is special. I'm really honored to be a part of it. Just the collection of stories. It's really cool because that's the best way to learn about the global war on terror, in my opinion, at least from the American standpoint, is to just listen to the soldiers and airmen and sailors and the Marines and everybody's stories. Just listen to their stories, read their stories, and let them tell you, what it was all
It's
about.
our traveling exhibit right now in the National Veterans Memorial Museum. It's a book put together by two best friend Army Rangers and our high school best friend. And they went around the country and found 71 inspiring veterans, interviewed them, put it into a book. And so you can learn about their service in the 20-Year War. And then you can come to the National Veterans Memorial Museum and see how we took the book apart and made it into giant posters. Or you can go to nationalvmm.org and see our virtual museum there. Well, Nate, often we say don't slow down. And so you truly are part of that next greatest generation in America. It will be seen that way in 10 to 15 years, what our fighters from the 20-Year War came back and really got done. And, you can't save everything. You can't fix everything. Well, when you help one person, it's a life changer for that person, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it just gets carried forward.
So what we do at the NVMM is also, whoever our guest is, we let them close us out. So at the end of a meeting, when General Farrader starts pontificating, then he remembers to say, okay, Nate, you can close us out. So for this session, any final thoughts?
But yeah, I just, I want to be a part of change, and I want to be a part of greatness. And, I want to be a part of a tribe and a community just like everybody else. So I'm no different in that way, and I hope I don't change in that way. But I hope I get a little bit smarter and a little bit stronger and a little less slow as I keep growing. Thank you.
Yeah, well, it's been a pleasure to be with you once again, my friend. God
Thank
bless
you,
you and all that you're doing, and all of those on your team who are supporting this. We want to thank them as well. And so as you're watching this, it's part of our Wellness Weekend, but there's so much more content that you'll find on Nate's website. And reach out. Don't suffer in silence. Find someone who can help you, and or get to us, and we will. God bless you all.